Nowhere is safe, dude. Nowhere. I mean, nowhere. There's crime everywhere, and it's going crazy. Crime is crazy everywhere.
We go
like
overseas
Russia.
now to the war in Ukraine. Russia.
I do want to watch the England video, though, actually. This one, The End of England by Ordinary Things.
This summer, my country went to hell, so I decided to follow it all the way to the bottom. Towns across England went up in smoke as gangs of self-proclaimed patriots decided to take their country back by setting fire to it. Their anger was focused on immigrants, legal and otherwise, surrounding hotels.
This was pretty crazy. It'll never not be strange that they just did a fucking out and about pogrom against Muslims. And like, we just kind of moved past it, but I don't know.
Hotels housing recent arrivals and intimidating long-time residents. The sorry display didn't make me feel very patriotic, but then again, nothing much has lately. It's the one thing that everyone in England can agree on. Our place has gone to the dogs, mate. Living standards, salaries, public services, investment, all in decline, while crime, costs, prison populations, and the percentage of human shit in our swimming water spiraling ever upwards. Patriotic? Nah, mate, couldn't be me. But recently I've been wondering if my attitude is part of the problem. After all, how can you fix a country that you're ashamed to be a citizen of? So to kindle some country love in me, Ed, I took a trip to the most iconic natural thingamabob in the UK, the White Cliffs of Dover. A symbol of national pride and the last place where England was successfully invaded from. Here, at the end of England, I thought I might figure out where we went wrong.
Lock up the borders, Weatherspoons first and also last orders. Don't want them in unless they're good on corners. Lost map for the Weatherspoons toilets. Lock up the borders.
What is this song, bro? Got a spoons while you're in the UK? Weatherspoons? Lads, I'll be in the fucking UK at Spoons. You know it, I'll be at fucking Spoons every day, lad. I'll be fucking drinking at England, lads. Spoons in it.
Or Tony or Peter. If I see a snowflake turn on for breakfast, fuck right.
I've been to a Spoons, bro. It's fine. It's like a normal. It's not that cool. Like, it's fine. It's like a local pub, but a franchise instead. Like, I don't understand. It's like people being like, you gotta go to a fucking Applebee's, bro. If you come to America, you gotta go to Chipotle, or not Chipotle, Chili's. Like, I would rather go to a local pub than go to a fucking Spoons. Because I feel like Spoons is just like a cheapened version of it, you know? It's like a mass-produced version of a local pub.
Embarrass myself on question time. Hey vegans, French and grime. Don't ever call me no swine. That's a war crime. Boy, lock up the borders. Weatherspoons first and also last orders. Lock up the borders. Boy, lock up the borders. Boy.
This country's gone to the dogs, mate. I'm not a racist. I sound like it probably, but I'm not. You should look.
What? Did this guy volunteer? Dude, is every fucking Uber/taxi driver in the UK like this? I'm not a racist. Out of nowhere. Like, he just volunteered the information that he is, as a matter of fact, indeed, a racist. Yeah, mate. I'm not a racist, but I am a gammon.
Look after your own people first. You know, if they can't control immigration, you know, we've got our kids and that need housing and stuff like that, and it's like they get preferential treatment.
Being the closest part of England to mainland Europe, Dover has had an unlucky history because of this continental proximity. On a clear day, you can see France, and on a windy day, you can smell it.
although that might just be the ferries swapping out their septic tanks. William the Conqueror landed in Dover in 1066, then marched his boys all the way up to Hastings, where he shot King Harold in the eye jelly, forever immortalised on the world's most famous piece of wool as the last man to successfully invade the English.
During World War II, Dover suffered heavy bombing by the German Air Force, which accounts for the stark architectural differences between the two halves of Dover's seafront. One side decaying Victorian grandeur, the other decaying post-war government housing. The landscape was the backdrop for the Battle of Britain, where fighter pilots pushed back a possible German invasion. Since then, Dover, and more specifically its iconic cliff face, have served as a potent symbol of English patriotism. Us lot have always had a strange relationship with patriotism. It's our embarrassing relative we only invite round for international football tournaments and the occasional Christmas. He crushes a couple of
3 lines on a shirt. George Rimet still gleaming. 30 years of hurt. Never. What was it? Never stop me believing? No. I forgot what the lyrics are. Fuck, I got Jules Rimet still gleaming. Oh. Never stop me dreaming. Good effort, mate.
Tinnies before noon makes some unsavoury remarks about your cousin with the septum piercing, and then does a sick on himself while watching the royal speech at full volume. But I found that people in Dover had a sunnier view of patriotism.
Are you proud to be English?
Oh yes, very patriotic.
And what about England makes you proud?
Mushy fucking poos in it. What of it? You one of those fucking rogues? You one of those fucking Islamo fascists, yeah? I'm a proud proper gammon.
Every single part of my being.
I think we've got a good system of government, if it worked. We've got pretty much free to do as we please, aren't we?
Do you like Dover? Proud to be a Dovidian? Is that right? Dovorian, excuse me.
It's better than what it was.
It's better than what it was?
Yes.
How so?
There was a lot of immigrants when we came here, but that's gone away now.
Do you think England's better now, or...
Dude, people need to stop. I don't know what else to say. I'm being kind. I'm trying to do this new thing. Where I be kind. But people need to stop it. Okay? All I'm going to say is stop it.
in the past?
I personally prefer the past.
What era? What year, if you were to be?
If I was born in the Victorian era, I think I'd be very, very...
Bro has a wolf, by the way. That's crazy. Like, that's casually a literal fucking half wolf dog. That's a wolf dog hybrid. No, that's not just a husky.
Very happy. I just think there is a lot more manners.
But when it comes to English patriotism...
Okay, that lady has a bear. What is happening in England? What's going on? Do they just have fucking wild animals as pets in Dover? That's a bear in it. That's a Malamute Seawolf mix. I think that's a Tamascan. I have one too. Not technically wolf hybrid, but bred to look like one.
It's easy to observe a generational divide.
Are you proud to be English?
No.
No?
I'm sorry, but no.
Proud to be English?
Yeah, I feel like ask any British person that don't have a football kit on, right? After a fucking game of footy, and they'll tell you, what is there to be proud of in this fucking island? I hate it. I'm under 30, lad. What do I have to look forward to? Never retiring, worsening conditions, public transit never works. Fucking hell. We've had Tories ruling the country and now we got the fucking red Tories. It's shite, mate.
English?
I don't mind it. I mean, there's quite a lot of brutal stuff happens.
Yeah.
I mean, heard a couple stabbings, some crossbow attacks.
I don't like that we're known for being massive smash heads and like we're known to being quite dirty and overly polite as well. I don't like that about British culture.
And a bit fake, like.
Yeah, because it comes across as fake and two-faced. We're known as being two-faced. I don't like that. I'm not proud about that.
Growing up here, it's not the easiest. Every single corner you turn, drug dealers.
Welcome to Dover. That's how we do out here. Bow.
Fuck you mean bow, bro? What are you gonna use, the blunderbuss? Like what do you mean bow? You don't got fucking you don't got guns, dude. Crossbow in it.
Making a documentary about Dover.
It's a shithole.
So a lot of young people in England today feel completely alienated from the idea of patriotism. It's outdated, it's unethical, and crucially, it is cringe. But I spoke to one young Dover resident filled to the brim with...
Okay, bro, I mean, look, I'm not going to judge a book by its cover, and I'm trying endlessly to be positive about British people, okay? But that looks like a Nazi. Like, that, I'm sorry, that looks like we got those here, okay? We got them here, too, on this side of the pond. That's a pedophile in the making, at least by the looks of it. You know what I mean? A Tory. It's just, he's too young to be a pedophile at this moment. But he'll get there. You know what I mean? Once he reaches of age.
patriotism. Not for England, mind you, but for a country of his own creation.
What?
Would you renounce your English citizenship if you were able to, like, return to Verdis and live there permanently?
If we could build Verdis's international recognition, then I think we would certainly, I would certainly consider renouncing my citizenship.
If you haven't heard of Verdis, that isn't a surprise. The nation existed physically for about 48 hours. Daniel and a small band of fellow patriots decided to start a new country on an unclaimed half-kilometre of floodland wedged between Serbia and Croatia. It remains unclaimed today thanks to a weird quirk of geopolitical loophole.
I'm sorry. I'm not into biological predeterminism by any means. Okay? But that is the most British thing you can fucking do. Okay? I'm sorry. You can't just go, well, there's land there. It's unclaimed. It's mine now. Like the good old days, innit? That's crazy. This is literally, he just unlocked epigenetic memories. It's looking proper. Might as well put a fucking flag on it, yeah? Call it mine. Like, American sovereign citizens go around annoying people and reading out the rules that they think magically, that create supposedly a magical barrier around them that stops them from, being harmed by the police or whatever, when it's not the case. British libertarian sovereign citizens are like, oh, we got to do more colonies, right? The problem was we needed 14 colonies, not 13, yeah? Fucking hell.
foolery. Neither Croatia nor Serbia claim it because they are arguing over larger, more livable pieces of land to Verdis's south.
I'm looking forward to hopefully being back on the land at some point, and we did actually go back to Verdis recently. We can't land the boats, obviously, because the Croatian authorities wouldn't allow us, but because it's an international waterway, there was no problem with us doing so.
On his first visit, Daniel and the other founding Verdisians valiantly held on to their new homes, suffering sleepless nights and one instance of heavy hail, all before Croatian authorities arrived and ejected them from a patch of land that isn't even technically Croatia. Ever since, President Jackson and his cabinet have been governing in exile in Dover.
Governments were in exile during World War II. They still referred to themselves as a state and such. We still continue to do the same thing, even though we are in exile. We have so many different opportunities. It's a small country, so we can test new systems of government.
Dog, if you want your own formal governance to be established as a sovereign state, you just have to become... What's the guy? The bank guy? The bank family that owns an island off the coast of England? That's what you got to do. Okay? All you got to do is become wealthy enough that you can just like, no, not Sealand. No, I don't think it's Sealand. The Principality of Sealand? No. Is it Sealand? Is that what it's called? I don't think it was called. The guy that owned the guy that owns a fucking island. The two brothers that own an island off the coast of the two brothers that own an island off the coast of fucking off the coast of England. And they tried the island of Guernsey. I think it is the island of Guernsey, maybe. That tried to get established sovereignty, but it didn't work. Yeah, the Barclays. Yes. This. Brescio is one of the Channel Islands located off the west coast of Sark, where they are now geographically detached from one another. Brescio is politically part of both Sark and the Bailiwick of Guernsey. It has been established in the courts that Brescio is a tenement of Sark. The Ministry of Justice, the Department of United Kingdom Government with responsibilities for the Channel Islands, considers Brescio a part of Sark. There's just like one chateau on it. The Barclay brothers built this.
And we can be a bit of humanitarian outpost. There's a lot of things that we can do to, say, for example, compared to an NGO that can only be subject to a couple of things.
Daniel had a real talent for saying things that were broadly positive without saying much of any actual substance. To me, it seemed like he had a bright career ahead of him in international politics.
You know, with the design of the flag, I understand a lot of people mistake it for Argentina.
I thought it was an Argentinian trans pride flag.
I see.
So how many citizens have you got now?
We have 399 citizens at the moment, on the exact dot as I checked earlier today. Even though it's literally just a large amount of trees everywhere. Being there feels, really. It's community, and it feels very different.
Yeah, the community has evaporated, and that's why a lot of people don't feel as much of an attachment to their national identity, right? It's that there is less community, but you've built this community partly by staking land in this unusual way, but in a more...
I wouldn't say it's an unusual way, especially for British people. I feel like it's the most usual way that British people operate. Am I crazy? I guess it's unusual because for once, there's no one that lives there. For once.
Relatable way to a lot of people, you found a community online, because that's where most of the discussion about this country takes place now, right?
Nowadays, yes.
Daniel might be an extreme case, but I think his story speaks to an alienation that a lot of English people feel. In the age of the internet and an ever better connected world, it can be easier to forge a community with people thousands of miles away than with people in your local town or even your own country.
Dover is one of Europe's busiest ports, with up to 10,000 trucks passing through every day. But the town doesn't benefit much from all this traffic. Like many UK seaside towns, it has suffered steep economic decline for the last 20 years. It rarely makes headlines, and when it does, it's probably because part of its iconic cliff face has collapsed, potent symbolism I know, or because of the many asylum seekers and illegal immigrants who arrive on Dover's shores.
When polled, immigration and asylum compete only with health and the economy as the issue that the English get most riled up about. But it's also the most polarising issue in the country because of how partisan reporting on the topic is. When it comes to the tragic loss of life during channel crossings, then both sides of the political spectrum are interested in relaying the facts. But this is where balanced reporting on the topic ends. Thanks to this channel's long-time sponsor, Ground News, this divide is made starkly clear. They're an app and website I use to challenge mainstream media's reductive narratives on the most nuanced issues we face today. Their platform gathers related news in one place and then points out political bias or corporate backing that may be skewing or suppressing the facts. Time and again, the Ground News blind spot feed shows that stories about illegal immigration are the near-exclusive domain of right-wing media. Even when Oxford University publishes a politically neutral study finding Britain has the most illegal migrants in Europe, is completely ignored by the left-leaning press. It's easy to write this news off as just another example of hostile political discourse. But Ground News also lists original research, so no matter what political ideology you personally subscribe to, you know where the information is coming from. Both sides of the political spectrum in England are guilty of only wanting to confirm the biases of their regular readership. The right obsessively gobbles up any crime story related to migrants or stats involving the cost of housing them, but they will rarely know anything about the migrants themselves or the unique geopolitical situations that they're fleeing from. Meanwhile, the left and liberal press will have a more informed take on the global refugee crisis as a whole, but are then strategically silent when it comes to the challenges that illegal immigration might pose to poorer communities in the UK. This is why I think Ground News is such an incredible tool when it comes to bursting your own bubble. If you're only reading what everyone else is reading, you can only think.
I can't get a good read on this guy. I thought he was like kind of I thought he was always like a lefty, but I remember him also shitting on me before too. I guess he's somewhat of a centrist.
What everyone else is thinking. So go to my link at ground.news/OT or scan my QR code to think for yourself. They're offering my viewers 40% off the same unlimited access Vantage plan that I use. Subscribing provides you with an excellent product, but it also directly helps me make more documentaries like this one. Once upon 10 years ago, smuggling people into England was a high-cost, low-margin business. People attempted to cross the channel secretly in the backs of trucks arriving in Dover by ferry. Professional smugglers charged upwards of €9,000 per traveller, leaving most of their potential customer base to try their luck on unsuspecting vehicles instead. At the time, only around 12,000 people were detected crossing every year. That all changed after Brexit, when security checks tightened.
He's adjacent to the weird drama YouTube circle with Kima Muda. Okay, that's actually kind of surprising to me because he definitely is intelligent. And I feel like a lot of the Keemstar adjacent drama orbiters have one factor. I don't think that that is true. Like, regardless of his opinions of me, he's like very clearly a decent, well-researched YouTube essayist.
And border infrastructure improved, rendering many of these attempted clandestine crossings unsuccessful. But these increased border security measures inadvertently led to more illegal crossings overall, as smuggling networks turned to the small boats as an alternative. Since the pandemic, small boat crossings have skyrocketed, peaking in 2022 when over 45,000 people made their way across the channel illegally. It is now a popular and profitable business, as smugglers are able to charge a fraction of what they used to, mostly because they are overloading their boats with up to 60 passengers at a time on vessels designed for a maximum of 30, leading to an increased number of deaths by drowning every year. Successive prime ministers, and you know, we've had at least 4 since the crisis began, have pledged to crack down on the crossings, and all have seemingly failed.
The government has lost control of our borders, and we can see that with the number of crossings there are across the channel in small boats. We have to stop that. And I think the only way to stop that is to smash the gangs that are running this vile trade.
Each government has focused mostly on stricter enforcement and more effective policing of the border, with the British government handing French border forces £150 million a year to prevent further crossings. But just like the tightened security on the ferries a decade ago, this is also having unintended consequences. The smugglers are hurrying launches to evade police and crowding boats far beyond their capacity to make up for earlier intercepted launches. As a result, 2024 has been the deadliest year for channel crossings on record, while harsher policing hasn't made a dent in the number of crossings overall. It's all a bit depressing, really, which is why most Brits prefer to just look the other way and pretend it isn't happening. But for a growing minority, illegal immigration has become the defining issue of our time. Okay, let's talk about the riots. They started in Southport, a semi-deprived seaside town in the northwest of England. The riot was sparked by the brutal murder of 3 young girls that had occurred the day before. The 17-year-old suspect was arrested, but authorities kept his identity hidden, as British law provides anonymity for anyone under 18 when they are accused of a crime. But this allowed online rumours to run rampant, as foreign news aggregate sites and anonymous Twitter accounts spread the rumour that the suspect was a South Asian asylum seeker who had arrived via small boat the previous year. Thousands.
Like that right there is it. That's it. It's it. One dude, one random fucking insane dude does a heinous crime and then pogroms start. Your society is deeply unwell and it's fundamentally broken. Okay? It's over. At that point, it's over. You got to fucking wipe the slate clean and restart. To me, that is like the greatest indication that this is a society that is collapsing on itself. Okay? America's not entirely there yet, but we are getting there. It wasn't even that, my guy. They lied about him being Muslim and other bullshit. Like, even if he was Muslim, it doesn't matter, chat. What are we talking about? Like, even if he was literally like a Muslim refugee who was like, I'm doing this in the name of Allah because I hate England. The idea that like you're now going to start killing every fucking person that you assume is a Muslim migrant is insane. Like, do you not understand how racist that is? Do we forget? Like, crimes are committed by every ethnic group, okay? Everyone, every single one of them. I know that he was, he came from a Christian family, but who gives a shit? My point is, even if he was a fucking Muslim, like the notion that this is like a justifiable act is crazy. That's my issue. My issue is racism. Like fascism that breeds off of the racist tribalism in a society that is like deeply, deeply disordered. It's not even just collective punishment either. I mean, collective punishment inherently is just bad. It's not appropriate. But it's also collective punishment dished out by mob rule. That's it. It's a pogrom. And if you don't look at that and understand how seriously fucked up everything is, and you just like try to brush it under the rug, you know, try to sweep it under the rug and be like, oh, it's fine. This was a one-off. Let the fucking racists like do one little pogrom. It's fine. It'll be okay. And then we'll stick the cops on them. Like without seriously examining how we got here. It's going to happen again.
Thousands of rioters gathered at Southport's only mosque, where projectiles were thrown at police and 50 were injured. While this guy got his dick and head bricked in a moment of perfect comic timing.
This was amazing.
Shot out to offer the nation a moment of slapstick solace, you know, among everything else that was going on. 2 days later, public interest was deemed significant enough that the real identity of the suspect was released, but by then the fires in Southport had smouldered and spread to other parts of the country. A small-scale demonstration followed in London.
Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, even if he wasn't like a Rwandan, it wasn't born to like a Rwandan Christian family in the Welsh part of the UK. Like, even if his name was like Ahmed Mohammed and he was directly from Syria, the idea that like every single Syrian refugee or every single person that's like Muslim looking deserves to be like violently purged from the ranks of the nation is insane. Okay? Like, I hope people understand that. The Welsh part of the UK, brother, you mean just Wales? Yeah, that's what I meant. Wales. Like, that in and of itself is just racism. That's what it is. And a lot of people look to that to be like, I'm rationalizing my racist opinions by saying, no, we have to do that. What would you say to convince someone that these movements are completely fascist and based on completely exaggerated information and not a genuine plea for national security? What? A genuine plea for national security? Brother, they're making the nation insecure. Like, if someone looks to these fucking gammons running around lighting cop cars on fire to do what? Purge the nation of immigrants? If you consider that to be like a genuine plea of national security, you're out of your fucking mind, you know? And before people go, well, what about the Black Lives Matter protests that turned into riots from time to time all around the country? It's like, yeah, okay. In that circumstance, that is an anti-government protest that is actually understandable and worthy, okay? That is a protest specifically against the police forces that disproportionately target and kill American citizens in a nation where cops kill more than 1,000 people every year. They kill 10,000 dogs and other pets every single year. Okay? That's a major issue. And yes, of course, turns out the enterprise that has the monopoly of violence is not going to simply turn around and go, you know what? You're right. Our violent means are too far. We're going to stop that because you asked nicely. No, that's not what happens. They start beating you and brutalizing you and almost killing you in many instances when you dare to tell the government not to do that. Okay? So, once again, the age-old Hasanabi adage of there are differences between good things and bad things. There are differences between good causes and bad causes. There's a difference between worthy causes and just pure virile hatred. Black Lives Matter protests were not conducted in a similar vein to turn into race riots where black people were storming the streets looking for white people to kill. As a matter of fact, it was heavily attended by white people, and it was against the police force. This, on the other hand, is fucking dumbass fascists running around, roaming the streets, looking for migrants. They literally lit on fire the entrance of a hotel that they knew housed migrants. It's fucking insane.
Outside Downing Street, where 100 protesters were arrested. In Aldershot, large crowds...
That's the exact argument that these Brit people use, though. Yeah, it's wrong, though. That's my whole point. Mister, would George Floyd be the American parallel, or is this different? Yes, there's a difference between an anti-racist protest against objectively a criminal enterprise in American policing versus people being like, how about we kill all the migrants and like forcibly remove them from the country? And if the government doesn't do it, let's take matters into our own hands. Do you feel like these two things are different? Do you feel like the American federal government, the North's actions in the Civil War in the United States of America was the same as Nazi Germany, for example? They're both governments that were engaging in violent behavior. Yeah, you can reduce everything down to its bare bones and make it seem like they're both same. Are they advancing the same project? Fuck no. That's what you have to look at.
Crowds gathered outside a hotel housing asylum seekers, while in Hartlepool, private homes were vandalized and a police...
There are protesters burning the world and you're out here winning anti-Semite of the Year law? Yeah, except those protesters are trying to kill Muslims, okay? So they would never win anti-Semite of the Year. They would win pro-Israel award if there was one to be given out like that.
Car was set on fire.
We want your country back.
Disorder peaked over the weekend as riots broke out across the country. Sunderland, Middlesbrough, Rotherham all served as staging grounds for some of the most crowded scenes. In Rotherham and Tamworth, crowds gathered around hotels housing migrants, setting them on fire and breaking in. While in Middlesbrough, rioters again targeted private homes, cars and the Crown Court building. That weekend was the most violent and most widespread case of civil unrest in England since the 2011 riots, a much more explosive event in terms of criminal damage, injuries and fatalities, sparked by the police killing of Mark Duggan. An event that is now remembered hazily, if at all, by a nation that likes to put this kind of unpleasant business behind us. When it is remembered, it's either for the large-scale looting or more charitably, by the liberal press, as a community's collective rage boiling over after years of harsh policing.
I mean, that's also objectively correct. Like, even the liberal press in that regard, if that's the way that they analyze it, is... Notice how the damage conducted in the aftermath of a riot of that regard is to the bottom line of random fucking corporations, okay? While I understand the reasons as to why people get mad at that, because at the end of that, there are still human beings that might suffer from the financial hardship, especially if it's a small business, and I think that that is inappropriate. There is a bit of a difference there, don't you think, in terms of, trying to identify where migrants live to kill them.
Shut up! Oh. The reason being is, you dress like a dickhead, you're not pushing dickhead in.
The recently elected government reacted to the riots with a shock and awe crackdown. More than 1,000 were arrested at the scene and in the weeks that followed, while local police slapped together some social media propaganda to show what a good, scary job they were doing.
I utterly condemn the far-right thuggery we've seen this weekend.
The government labelled the rioters as far-right, a designation...
Lock them up, mate! What are you fucking doing then? Do your fucking job, right? Or is it only that you like to starve children, kid starver? Club them all, mate!
That the London media class obediently copied and pasted into their headlines. But was this strict?
Was this not a far-right violence? Wait, what?
Accurate. National newspapers and government ministers blamed the EDL for the riots, a far-right gang of football hooligans that's been inactive for nearly a...
Weren't you celebrating when this dumbass Red Tory won the election? No. I was literally in Croatia doing real-time coverage, and all the English heads in the chat were actually kind of mad at me for not actually celebrating it sufficiently. I kept ringing the alarm bells before this pogrom took place. You compare him with Mélenchon? Please go back and watch my coverage. Please go back and watch my coverage. I did the exact opposite. I think he heard me joke about me saying Keir Starmer is actually Keir Stalin, and he took it to heart. Like, he was like, oh yeah, this guy definitely believes it. Yeah, no, I wasn't fond of Keir Starmer, who ran on a platform of we're going to stop the boats and that my opposition is not serious enough about stopping the boats. And we're going to do austerity, or we're going to also continue. I did make jokes about Keir Starmer being Stalin, but that's what it was, jokes.
Decade. The inconvenient truth is that the riots had no specific organizers. The incredible irony of these riots is that they were largely mobilized by foreign forces themselves. The news aggregate site that first spread the false rumors about the Southport suspect's ethnicity and migration status is based in Pakistan, while the majority of the Telegram groups and influencers responsible for mobilizing people were based abroad, mostly in mainland Europe or the US. So in lieu of domestic organisers, the government cracked down on the shit posters.
So I'm actually being arrested.
You're going to be arrested, okay.
Dog. The people on the ground that were primed into defending England, okay, were not like random Russian spies. They were just like the dudes that you see at Spoons. All right, proper reform, mate. Fucking proper reform supporters.
Okay.
Right.
So you got to the police station.
Right.
You, okay. This is in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook page.
Your coverage of Keir Starmer. The UK is following the path of US politics. Here, this is a fan account. This is from Daily Dose of Hasanabi. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer celebrated landslide victory with Labour winning 170 plus majority. This raises questions about whether the UK Labour Party will devolve similar to the American Democratic Party. Usually when centrists hold power, they shift to the right. I think Hasan has a weak understanding of our politics. I agree. I usually can listen to Hasan's stances, but his takes on labor right now are painful, clouded by his Anglophobia. Because I was very critical of Keir Starmer. The only way that the Labour would ever lose this, instead of the insane landslide victory that they're supposed to get in this circumstance, like their opposition, once again, has recycled leadership unceremoniously. Is this this privatization? The river is full of shit. The water is bad. Everything's expensive. I mean, it can't go on like this, right? So the only way that this still loses. Yeah, clip of your coverage of Keir Starmer's victory.
Quick questions, really. Firstly, would you campaign alongside reform for proportional representation?
Pre-watch Piker, you already called it. They're already doing it. Oh yeah, I'm sure. You'll see. Watch this space. In the upcoming days, everyone is going to talk about how much better Keir Starmer is than Jeremy Corbyn, and that centrism won in the UK. And it's the solution. It's the antidote to far right politics of the Tories. Okay.
What's happened? I think it was you.
You have to excuse things we were saying back then. Died in the wool. Marxists were so briefly libbed up. Yeah. It's funny though, because people go, I think you have, like, this person has me in his fucking PFP, I think. Oh no, never mind. It's actually Keanu Reeves. I thought it was like an old photo of me with long hair. But I thought it was from when I had the long hair. People would make jokes about how I look like that fucking Lord Farquaad. You are clueless about UK politics. Please stay out of UK politics. Your understanding is too limited to be speaking from a place of authority. You know, it's funny because they said this about my fucking understanding of American politics too. Now Nigel Farage is more popular than Keir Starmer already. Yeah, reform is now polling ahead of labor in some jurisdictions. Keir Starmer is so unpopular that reform is going to win seats. And they're campaigning on 3 largest deportation flights in UK history. It's really interesting because most of my analysis here was about how Keir Starmer is going to be a fucking boring, annoying neoliberal. And he's also uncharismatic. And that the real fucking election victory was the massive amounts of popularity that reform was able to get in an incredibly fucking short amount of time because of this nascent fascist movement that has gone unaddressed. Okay. And yeah, the post-Corbyn Labor Party is actually dog shit. And they are very similar to the Democratic Party in America. And it's really interesting because everyone hates the effects of Tories' austerity policies, but the problem is that they have a very sophisticated media behind them. I understand I respect Hassan's knowledge on many things, but he doesn't understand UK politics. Using the US as a country with a completely different political system and culture as some sort of template is lazy and frankly dumb. I'm not a fan of Biden, but continue to use Jover is pretty cringe. Labor aren't like Tories. They're center left, but still have a large contingent of socialist members. In a year, he will be pressured into more leftist policies. It hasn't even been that long. It's been 4 months. Labor is center left and more left on social issues. Starmer is dull and boring, but sounds like heaven after 14 years of clowns and circus acts. Every PM the Tories had over the 14 years screwed the country in some way. Even David Cameron, like nobody was asking for that referendum in the EU or at the time. It's nice to have some normalcy back in leadership, some balance, and an end to hopefully for some time of all the extremes and dramas. Only negative is that Farage got a seat in the parliament. Maybe it's because of his centrist views that he won. Minute 16 of this video. This space. Keir Starmer does privatization, continues the austerity regime of the Tories, and then basically all the labor strongholds go to reform. Reform comes in hot as a motherfucker, gets more legitimacy from the Tories. The Tories have no one else to rely on, so they try to bring the Reform Party on their side, set up a coalition, and then that only ends up legitimizing the reform positions. Keir Starmer turns around and in a last ditch effort, he already signaled towards this. He signaled towards this in the debates, and he has signaled towards this centrist. What will end up happening is Keir Starmer will also capitulate to the right-wing framing on immigration, and he already has, just like Joe Biden did. Okay, that will only further solidify the reform position and only legitimize reform further. England 1930s style, 1930s Germany style, England goes right-wing next time around.
Really, in this pencil.
The thing is, my naysayers make this kind of shit sound sweet. It's not. It's not that insane. It's not like that crazy of a prediction. I'm just looking at fucking patterns throughout history and applying the same analysis that I apply usually. And yet, ironically enough, there were still hella people being like, dude, you're out of your depth. You're out of your element. Will those people turn back and be like, okay, maybe he was right? Probably not. Probably not. Yeah. Poll suggests reform would win Northeast England. Yeah, I had the 14th key, dude. Yeah, it's not particularly brilliant. Like, these opinions are not that crazy. I'm just saying. North England has always been racist, sadly. Stop. The idea that, like, people are intrinsically racist and unsalvageable is silly, okay? It's silly. That's a nonsensical, silly position. You can't create winning governing coalitions with that mentality. You can't do anything with that.
Oh, really? Oh, it's a Facebook crime, is it?
Many of those who were arrested weren't even present during the riots. They were charged and handed multi-year sentences for inciting racial hatred or directing the actions of the riots towards the hotels.
They all right?
Yeah, essentially he was telling people on Facebook to go and attack a hotel in Leeds housing asylum seekers. He didn't actually take part in that action. We understand he was at home with an injured foot, but it was his messages online that were seen by his friends and other people they shared those posts with.
Every man and his dog should smash the fuck out of Britannia Hotel in Leeds.
That were at the root of his sentencing.
The sentence that I pass has been reduced by 1/3 to reflect your guilty plea. The sentence is one of 20 months imprisonment.
Martin Luther King said that a riot...
What is this? Rev up your judgment by my enemies tweet. Another Hasan hater got exposed for pulling a V. Who? Who did?
The language of the unheard. A quote that is inconsistently applied by liberal commentators. Happy to roll it out for causes we sympathize with and...
Ain't no fucking way. Ain't no fucking way that this man is using an MLK quote to talk about what the fuck? To talk about a fucking pogrom? What is happening? First, he said it was actually not the proper British gammons. Muda? Wait, what did Muda do? Oh no, is he into lolly? Shut the fuck up. Ain't no fucking way. Ain't no fucking way that Muda is into lolly shit. Muda is a lolly enjoyer? No, I don't believe that. That sounds fucking nuts. Wait, why is his account locked? Why is his account inactive, preventing impersonation? Wait, what? Wait, what? Resurface video of Oompaville, some ordinary gamers and Nooks Taku watching lolly porn together on a Discord call? Can't speak for Caleb. From what I remember regarding stuff like this is stuff from Nux showing us hentai for his competitions, and usually in this there are around multiple creators. No defense here. I'm not knowledgeable about anything anime, and I blindly assume someone we collaborated at the time showed us hentai and nothing illegal. Since this appears to now come from something more sinister, I apologize for what I said in this, and I'm livid at Nux, who was quite against this kind of material in both public and private conversations with us. Whatever he showed us at the time, I had believed would just fall under legal hentai banner in Canada and the US, and assumed poorly that all of it would just be legal, and after filming, just go on with my day. Check out the Nux YouTube video channel. He's made several anti-Hassan vids. Nux hates you. He's super pro-Israel. Yeah. Let's not dive into that somber pit of hell, please. Yeah, I mean, this doesn't seem like it's entirely Mudahar's fault. Now, in a situation, if there was ever like a comparable situation where I was in the crosshairs in a similar vein, I'm sure he would farm that fucking sweet fuck Hassan points aggressively and in the most sinister fashion possible. I will not be doing that to him. I don't think that he was friends with that one fucking guy, Nooks. He's the guy with a VTube avatar, right? That like definitely is into some weird shit. But you know, I won't do that to him. I don't think that this is as damning for Mudahar. I don't know what the fucking video is. I don't know what he says in the video. But and I like Oompaville in general. I haven't seen anything gross or weird from him, so yeah. Hopping on a Discord call to watch hentai is wild though. Yeah, no, I know it's gross, it's weird, but I don't think that Mudahar is like a fucking lolly enjoyer personally, or at least that is not the damning evidence that you think it is. Once again, though, I will repeat, Mudahar especially runs with a very weird crowd. And not only does he run with a very weird fucking crowd, he has time and time again tugged on the fuck Hassan heartstrings over and over again with all the other weirdos that he aligns with, and has actively played a role in the we should get Twitch banned, or we should get Hassan deplatformed train. Extra weird considering that he, you know, went to the Hajj, did the Hajj, went to the Mecca. And not only that, but also, you know, the fan base that he's trying to cultivate desperately dehumanizes him, or at least the people that he aligns with legitimately fucking hate Muslims, like actually despises Muslims and brown people. So kind of odd. But, you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Rarely for those we oppose. Understandably as well, as the hate that was on display makes these rioters incredibly difficult to sympathise with, while their outright idiocy makes us feel like their motivations are too stupid to bother analysing. But failing to assess the reasoning behind these riots will leave us open to being surprised when they happen again. The way I see it, there were two riots this summer, the one that happened on the ground and the one that happened online. On the ground, I think it's simple enough. It's not a coincidence that 7 out of the 10 most deprived areas in the UK were home to riots.
Okay, the way to cover this is not by fucking undermining the severity of the racist pogroms. Yeah, Muda has talked about Gaza twice, both about Hassan. Yeah, all of those cowardly drama farming pieces of shit it watched a genocide unfold for 12 months and rarely ever talked about it because they were too afraid of pissing off people. And the only time they ever talked about it was to attack a motherfucker who actually is you know, brave enough to put himself out there with their actual positions. I have no respect for shameful, centrist, drama farming, always center right, always reactionary pieces of shit. Okay? No respect whatsoever. You're a shell of a fucking man. Yeah. You're nothing to me. Absolutely nothing. Yeah.
Because these sorts of...
Oh, this is a bad